Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Ouachita News Show.
We are so excited to give you the latest Ouachita news, and we're in the final 3 weeks of the semester.
As of November 20th, Ouachita has 20 active COVID cases. For more information, check obu.edu/coronavirus.
Well, Blythe is back in the studio this week with your forecast, Tigers. Blythe, how's the weather looking?
Good morning, Ouachita weather watchers. This is Blythe up with your 5-day weather report for this week. Starting off with the weather for today, we will have a high of 72 degrees. Today is also predicted to be partly sunny and pleasant with a 25% chance of rain. Going on to Friday the 6th, we have a day full of sunshine, and the high for Friday should stay in the mid-70s. With that, there's a very low chance of rain for the day. Saturday, the Arkadelphia area will be partly sunny and also have a low probability of rainfall. The high for the day will stay in the mid-70s and is predicted not to drop below the high 50s. Moving on to Sunday, we will have a high of 74 degrees along with some dense cloud cover for the day. Sunday also has a 30% chance of rain for the highest rainfall for the week. This weekly forecast won't stop there because finally we have Monday with the lowest predicted high for the week at 72 degrees. Monday will also be cloudy and have a 25% chance of rain. Well, that concludes your 5-day weather report for this week with predictions by AccuWeather. This is Blythe up with the weather forecast for this week, whether you like it or not.
Thanks, Blythe. I'm excited that fall is here and in full swing.
Me too, Izzy, and I'm glad that we got an hour back last weekend.
Same here, Caroline. Well, during her most recent confirmation hearings, Amy Coney Barrett came under fire for her decision to adopt 2 children from Haiti. A few members of Ouachita's faculty and staff are familiar with these criticisms. Here's Aaron Jordan with the story.
Senior biology major Nicholas Gerber and senior communications major Landon King's stories are very different than most students at OBU. Dean of Fine Arts Gary Gerber adopted Nick from Moscow, Russia at 9 months. King was born in St. Petersburg, but after his adoption, he lives in Roland, Arkansas.
I had a great home as a kid. I had a wonderful brother to play with, plenty of food, and it's just so different because I might have not had that.
I always had a good family. I've always gone to a good school, and I've always had great friends.
Dr. Ben Utter, assistant professor of English at Ouachita, adopted 2 kids from China.
Serena's from city of Guangzhou in Guangdong province, and Thomas is from the city of Sichuan or rather the city of Chengdu in Sichuan province.
King's parents taught him the value of hard work.
My dad would always have me working in the yard. My mom always was on me about my studies. And so from that, understand what the value of a good education means.
Gerber's parents taught him to love everyone and to be grateful for what he has.
We have been given so much, just like food and shelter and just things that a lot of people in other places don't have.
But that doesn't mean there's no tension. They hear about cultural appropriation, criticism, even resentment from young adult adoptees.
I take those criticisms very seriously, and at this point, you know, some days I feel a little like Tony Stark in Endgame. Like a wrong has been done in the world and it should be righted. I can't, however, I can't wish away what I have. I'm not willing to lose what we have.
But both Gerber and King feel blessed for growing up in America.
I feel like everything, especially now that I can look back at my past, I can see how everything has worked according to God's plan.
Being adopted was just such an impact, and they saved my life, I feel like.
Utter put it nicely when he said that he wants nothing more than to see his kids grow up to be happy citizens of the world. For the Ouachita News Show, I'm Aaron Jordan.
Barrett was a controversial nominee for many reasons, and this criticism is just the latest in a long string. Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed as the newest member of the Supreme Court last week.
The Arkadelphia Kids Club has made some changes to their regular way of running things. Preston Crowder has more about how they've adapted to COVID.
Arkadelphia Kids Club operates out of 3rd Street Baptist Church under the direction of Nikki Tate.
We provide a safe place for kids to be after school. We are based out of 3rd Street Baptist Church, so we are a faith-based program. So in the afternoons when they get here, they have a snack. We do a devotion with them, kind of get to know them, build a relationship with them, have a little homework help for them, but their favorite thing is to do is just play.
The COVID-19 pandemic closed many daycare and after-school programs. After closing on March 13th, the program opened up in mid-May.
It was a difficult decision to open up. I have a board of directors that consists of about 6 people that go to church here. We closed when school got out on March 13th for COVID. We did shut down. So because we shut down, it was a very hard decision, and it took a lot of efforts to open back up.
The Department of Homeland Security and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention put into place new guidelines.
And some of those things were wearing masks. We had to wear masks if we were within 6 feet. Smaller group sizes, so our group sizes needed to be about at 10 people. We had to do wellness checks, so every time a kid comes in the door, we had to take their temperature. We had to ask them if they had any signs of COVID.
After a successful summer and moving into their after-school schedule, Arkadelphia Kids Club is still finding ways to provide a safe child care option.
The van sizes are now limited. You have to have a seat in between each van, so where we could get 13 or 14 kids on a van, now we can only get 7 to 8 kids on a van. So on site, it's very similar to summer, but as far as pickup and drop off, it's a little different.
Above all, the most important thing for the club is keeping kids safe.
While they're here, we just try to give them their needs so that the parents know that they're safe and they're getting the things that they would want to provide for them.
Just like before and after the pandemic. For the Ouachita News Show, I'm Preston Crowder.
The club continues to stay open and is dedicated to making sure all of its kids can have a safe and fun time.
Speaking of fun times, we've seen some pretty interesting new intramural sports, and RecLife has really done a good job of adapting to fit Ouachita's COVID guidelines. Broc Ingold had a chance to learn more about RecLife this semester.
Matthew Cook faces a unique challenge, leading RecLife in an era when it's hard for any group to meet. Coming up with ways to play sports is a daunting task.
There are things that we've had to do. We've just had to think outside of the box. The use of masks, trying to prevent that spread of the coronavirus. So when we can't be physically distanced, just making sure, or if there is even the potential that we could be closer than 6 feet, we want to try to wear a mask. So we've had to come up with sports and just events that are just within those guidelines, and that's been really interesting. But it's also created a unique opportunity for us to create some sports that we may not have done otherwise, like human foosball. Kickball is one that people have been asking for a long time, but we just haven't been able to fit it into the schedule with some of the other bigger ones that people like softball and things like that.
2 of the more unusual sports in the lineup are disc golf and spike ball. You won't find either of these sports on ESPN, but they grab the competitive nature of many college students.
Spike ball is just one of those sports that it goes really quick. It's really easy to set up. So I think one of the reasons college students really like it is just a way to connect. With the spike ball event, we called it Rec Nights. Kind of was birthed from an idea of just giving students something to do that was outside of the realm of the traditional sports during the afternoon, the intramural sports. I wasn't prepared for just how much attention we would get with spike ball. Because in the RecLife we have 2 nets, and I put it out there and said, hey, bring your own net if you have one. We ended up with 10 nets and over 60 people that showed up for that particular rec night.
While the students grab their discs, Cook and the RecLife team have to prepare the course for the tournaments next semester.
We're able to focus more on disc golf. That's a really fun sport. We see people out here playing every day. The hay, they cut it. It's hard, when the hay's up, but this is kind of prime disc golf time right after January in the wintertime. Shane Seaton has ordered new signs with the par distances and even a little map of where the throwing target is.
Cook's job as a RecLife director comes naturally as he loves connecting with others through sports. In fact, sports has always been a part of the Ouachita experience.
I've always loved sports. I've played basketball in high school. I've played intramurals all throughout my time at Ouachita and even as a staff member, and so I absolutely love it. But it's an interesting thing on the other side of things and having to facilitate it. But I just love getting to work with the students. That's one of the main reasons I chose to do this job, and just interacting with students and helping point them towards Christ in any way that we can. And the outlet of the outdoors and sports is just an amazing way to do that. And so that's probably the best thing about being in a role like this.
While this year has not been the most conventional year for RecLife, it's shown more than anything that they can adapt to whatever situation is thrown at them. For Ouachita News, I'm Broc Ingold.
The kickball playoffs are in full swing with the championship right around the corner, and the pickleball season has also started.
As most of you know, the band Third Floor Village released their first EP today. I had a chance to talk with members of the band and learn more about how and why they're making music.
Stuck in the mud and I got a glimpse of a belly holding in an instant.
And we lived right across the hall from each other, square across the hall. And I was just writing music one day in my room, and I was like, this is so stupid how I'm sitting across the hall from two really talented people and we're not doing anything about it. Like, I want to make music for people to listen to. I want to actually try and do something with it, because I'm going to kick myself when I'm 45 if I never tried. And so I walked across the hall and I basically was like, what are we doing, guys? And they were like, what do you mean, kind of thing? We're just kind of hanging out kind of thing. And I was like, no, we need to actually try, basically same thing. We're going to regret it if we don't look back. Why aren't we making music?
First and foremost, probably the most help and most influential in the process is really special because it's actually family for me. My older brother, he actually graduated from Ouachita in 2013. He helped so much. His name's Zach. He actually is drumming on all the tracks. He produced the tracks.
One of my best friends that I've ever had back in high school, his name's Clayton Boulding. He is the most creative person I've ever met in my life. He's a wonderful, wonderful artist and director and creative designer. And he goes to college in Savannah College of Art and Design. And we were hanging out this summer with him and some friends from New York and New Jersey and Georgia and all over the place. And I got to mention how we just got back from Dallas recording, and they were like, oh my goodness, can we do your album art? And we were like, yeah, why not?
There's like a constant theme that kind of fades into a broken down theme. And so we just asked that, just for us, listen to them 1 to 6 the first time.
When we were making that order, we sat in a room. It was actually Zach, us three, and Zach's wife, Mary, who I keep mentioning, but they were in the room with us. We dedicated this little bit of time to let's make a set order right now. So we all had paper and a pencil. We all wrote 1 through 6, and we all wrote our versions. The guys, we're all taking our lists and we're making out an order. We finally get to an order where we feel great about. We have maybe discussed for about an hour, probably an hour, and we have it set. And Mary's like, oh, that's my list.
Look where it got us. Thought I was over your smile, but I'm back to square one. Tripping and trying to avoid a shotgun. Oh, but you're dead.
We, spent a year or so writing songs, just sitting around in the dorm room, trying out different things, and then we figured out that we were gonna get the opportunity to actually record them, and so then we have to sit down and figure out which of these songs, which of these babies are going to be the ones that have what it takes to be fully produced and go together and fit together in a good way. I love to create and I love music, and over the past few years I've got to do a lot of music in churches where it's live music, and it's so wonderful and it's one of my greatest passions, but it's stuff that other people wrote. And so being able to create something up out of nowhere, these were literally just thoughts running around in our minds, and to be able to have something created from that, and then being able to give that to people so that they can, like, my absolute dream, and I'm hoping this will happen, is like one day somebody somewhere has a really bad day and they flunk a test or something like that happens. They found out the person that they have a crush on doesn't like them, and they get in their car and they plug in their phone and they hit Third Floor Village, Getaway EP, and they blast it, and it makes them feel better.
The album is available on iTunes and Spotify, and you can follow the band on Instagram at Third Floor Village.
Chase Hartzell is back with another update on Ouachita athletics. Chase?
The GAC's Twitter poll that I mentioned last week ended in a matchup between Stormy Leonard and Drew Harris. It was a close call, but Harris ended up taking home the win. Congratulations to both Leonard and Harris on their athletic accomplishments. Speaking of winning and accomplishments, Ouachita baseball finished its Fall World Series this past Saturday, and after winning games 5 and 6 of the series, the Purple Mavericks went on to beat the Black Rangers 4-2. For more information on that series, check out this week's edition of the Roar Rundown. That's all I've got for you, so back to you, Izzy.
Thanks, Chase. Well, that's all we have for you this week, Tigers. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Ouachita News and at Ouachita Weather Watch.
Stay safe, stay happy, and stay healthy, and tune in next week for more of the latest Ouachita news.